Sox offered Mookie Betts a 10-year, $300 million deal during the 2010 year, $300 million deal, and Betts countered by asking for 12 years at 420. Are you freaking kidding me? If something happens to Mookie Betts in the next couple of days, are you kidding? He wanted 420. 420, yeah, what? So this way you don't have to wait for a sale at the dollar store. You could go pay full price. So Mike Trout got 12 years, 430. He wanted 420. All right, but the Red Sox making no secret that their desire is to cut down on the payroll. So that's what it is. So the Betts talks appear to be growing. And, look, Jim Bowden reports that the Nolan Arenado deal is inevitable. Inevitable. Anybody know what inevitable means? It means it's going to happen. Same thing with the Mookie Betts. So I'll ask the question again. How confident are you that Mookie Betts, Francisco Lindor, and Nolan Arenado will be traded before the season starts? And that's got to affect your only drafts big time. And then, of course, you got the Chris Bryant. All right, let me ask you this question now. Let's talk about a closer that nobody's talking about. It's unbelievable. There are some teams that even good teams that are going to get a lot of saves. Who's the closer in Tampa? Anybody want to talk about who's the closer in Tampa? That's a good team. Great pitching staff with the Blake Snell and the Morton and the Glasnow and the Yarbrough and the McKay and Trevor Richards and who knows. And speaking of that, speaking of Glasnow, the Pittsburgh Pirates at one point, we talk about the teams having money and the teams, it's amazing the teams having money. Arizona, they've gotten rid of Goldschmidt and Pollock and Corbin and Greinke, and now they're a contender. Where Pittsburgh, at one point, the Pittsburgh Pirates, who are dismantling their team not too long ago, had Garrett Cole, Jamison Taillon, and Tyler Glasnow. But anyway, let's talk about who's the closer in Tampa. Now, are they going to go back to Jose Alvarado? Or did Emilio Pagan really replace him as the closer? And how about Nick Anderson? Nick Anderson may have been the best reliever in the American League who did not record a save in 2019. Okay? Now, you could make a case for any one of them. So all you knuckleheads that are jumping in thinking that it's Emilio Pagan for sure, it's not Emilio Pagan for sure. And also Diego Castillo could be in the running. That's not out of the question. So even though Tampa's got a ping pong, with starters, is that right? Ping pong? What does that mean? I don't even know. Sounds good. They're gonna, so Tampa's gonna be with the opener. Now they're gonna have a closer, but it's not gonna be the real closer. Tampa could change closers depending on matchups, workloads, and whoever is the most effective at any given time. So don't you think that, you people spending money, you people, I love that. You're all people, right? All you guys, Andrea says Brendan McKay can end. I don't think so. McKay's not a closer. That's not going to happen. Andrew, you want to make a bet? How much you want to bet? Okay? Let's make a good bet on that. Thank you so much, everybody. We got a great chat room. And ladies and gentlemen, one of the founding fathers of the chat room, Tommy Lloyd, SP fan, is in the chat room. We love you, Tommy. White Sox Gal is here. Unholy Toledo. Oh, my goodness gracious. Okay? Why do you say no? I don't even know what the question was. But anyway, people who need people. My Barbra Streisand invitation. If you ever want me to do a bar mitzvah, a wedding, or a divorce hearing, whatever it is, you can hire me to sing like Barbra Streisand. So here's the deal. So I know we all love those old guys, right? The 35-year-old guys who are relievers. But the 35 save relievers, those guys tend to make $10, $15 million a year. So Tampa is one of those teams that likes to platoon so they don't have to pay guys regular playing time money. Okay? That's how Tampa has budgeted their team throughout the years, and I think they're going to do the same thing with the bullpen. And they also, remember, they flirted with Craig Kimbrell last year, and they did breathe a sigh of relief in retrospect when they didn't get him. So, and Tampa is one of these teams that they have the openers and the starters by committee, and now they're going to be a closer by committee. Now, don't forget, Tampa relievers threw more innings. Now, this is interesting. The Tampa relievers threw more innings. They struck out more hitters and had a lower ERA than any team in the majors last year. Tampa relief pitchers threw more innings, struck out more hitters, and had a lower ERA than any team in the majors. Of course, some of that is affected by the use of openers. So it's not perfect, apples to apples. But when you break down to the 7th, 8th, and 9th innings, the Rays were still in the top 5 in ERA, on-base percentage, strikeouts per innings, base runners per innings, and everything else. It's a good team. And they did, remember, Alvarado and Castillo both had meltdowns in May and June. So the Rays pitching coach, Kyle Snyder, okay, he's not worried. He's ready to go, okay? And they don't have a single relief pitcher with more than 20 career saves. And this could be the team to beat, okay? Now, for so many years, the conventional wisdom in baseball was that it was different pitching in the 9th inning, okay? And even some relief pitchers will say that. Took a certain mindset, right? A certain confidence, a certain level of ability to be a closer rather than coming in the 5th inning. And we see so many times that it works to the way that if you're not closing, you don't have the adrenaline pumping, all right? And there's some truth. Sometimes the pressure kills, and sometimes the pressure really makes pitchers better, okay? Teams treated closers differently, and a lot of pitchers brought into that, 9th inning status really had some problems. They were taught from the time they reached the majors that the 9th inning was hallowed ground, more important than the 8th inning. The 9th inning closers got paid, the 8th inning guys got bupkis. Okay? The Rays have employed some big-time closers in the past, though. Fernando Rodney, Rafael Soriano. Remember Troy Percival. But their current group is totally different. Totally different. And Kevin Cash, the manager, he might have trusted certain pitchers with the lead, but he's not afraid to bring someone in earlier or later than the usual simple formula based on the opponent's lineup. The Rays ended up with 11 different pitchers. 11 different pitchers last year got saves in 2019. 11 different pitchers would say, Brooks is here. I knew you'd be here. I knew it. I know Brooks would be here. We're going to open strong again today. Brooksy, we made it back. Me and Brooks were buying we're heading out to San Francisco together with our air mattresses and backpacks. With the stock market, we thought was going to crash the other day. And so we were heading out to San Francisco to get a good spot. And we're back. Ain't that right, Brooks? All right, we're back. Opening up good today. So it's great. Love the Brooks. When Brooks shows up, I'm feeling good. Okay? So there's no doubt that numbers matter to some guys. But who's gonna get the call? Anderson may have the best stuff, but the least experience. He'll get a shot to prove the 9th inning is no different. If he could pitch the ninth inning the same way he pitches all the other innings, he'll be fine. Pagan and Castillo going to get a fair chance too. Alvarado could be the biggest wild card because when he is on, he looks unhittable. But he struggled so much that he's going to have to prove himself again. Okay? Chaz Rowe, Oliver Drake, Colin Posh, all these guys. Okay? So that's the story there. Greg Holland's back with the Royals. I don't know what that means. He's back with the Royals. Who's going to be the closer for Kansas City? Who do you think is going to be the closer for Kansas City? Will Greg Holland have a chance to close games in Kansas City? Ian Kennedy's there, but I have a feeling Ian Kennedy's going. I got a feeling Ian Kennedy could be going. Okay? So we'll see. I would not discount throwing a couple of dollars back on the shoulders of what's wrong with Kennedy? There's nothing wrong with Kennedy as the closer. Colin Poche will be the closer by the end of the year. Good call on that, Brooks. Good call. So we'll see what happens. We'll talk about, Steven Souza, I see is mentioned in the chat room. So I haven't talked about him yet, okay? We'll talk about Steven Souza now. How's that, okay? Steven Souza. Oh, my goodness gracious. What can you say about Steven Souza? The Cubs will now have their first free agent signing. Okay? They signed Steven Souza. And here's what it is. He injured his left knee in the second to the last exhibition game of the spring last year. Got that torn ACL, partial tear of his posterior lateral capsule. See that? I'm a physician. The spring training look. So they made their big move. They got Souza. He suffered that bad knee injury in spring training, missed 2019, and it's a low risk signing. It fits the tight budget. Gives the Cubs a corner outfielder who could also play center field. All this in transition to start talking about the Cubs, since you mentioned it. Souza is 30 years old. He was non-tendered by the Diamondbacks. He is a career .233 hitter. He's got 70 homers and just about 200 RBIs in 470 games. But injuries have really hurt him, not just last year, but 2 seasons. Now remember, he hit 30 homers and drove in almost 80 runs in 2017. So, if he can do that, it'll be a steal. If not, no big deal. Okay? So, last year, the only free agent additions that the Cubs made were Daniel Descalso and Brad Brock, both of them who had bad seasons. So, he's going to join a crowded outfield with Jason Hayward, Kyle Schwarber, Albert Almora, and Ian Happ. And, of course, the Cubbies didn't re-sign Castellanos, so they went ahead and signed Steven Souza. And now let's, in talking about the Cubbies, Chris Bryant, he's got to find out exactly what his story is, and that should be coming up soon. But at second base, people have been talking about Nico Horner, who was very impressive in his 3-week stint with the Cubs in September, with the injuries to Baez and since departed Addison Russell. So the Cubs still could add a leadoff hitter. That's not what Souza is. They're talking about, who's that guy who's getting interviewed at second base? His name escapes me. Come on, man, wake up. But they could still get another second baseman. But Horner is a pure hitter. He had only about 370 minor league plate appearances. Didn't have any at AAA before he made his debut. He hit .282 in about 80 at-bats. His on-base percentage slipped from .365 in the minors to .305. But Nico Horner's going to be a good one. Yep, Nico Horner's going to be a good one. I'd like to see David Bote get more at-bats. Horner could be a good one. and he could really lead the wave